These are Dexcom G7 applicators for the diabetic. They put these on, go on the arm, they connect to your app, and they tell you what your blood sugar is. When you first get them out of the package, you unscrew it. Has a device there, stick it on your arm, push the button, it shoots out, sticks onto you, and then you're left with this. You go to the Dexcom G7 website, which I'll link in the description. It says, at this point, there's no recycling, and so they instruct you just to throw it away. I took a look at these. There is a little magnet in the top outer portion. It's right there in this one. Inside, there are two springs, a big spring and a smaller spring. This is how I get these out. Take a flathead screwdriver and I bend the tip back, and usually the magnet will come out. Sometimes. There are three small pieces of plastic with, I don't know, hooks, I guess, on the end that keep the magnet there. But here the magnet has come out. It's fairly simple. I stick it on whatever I can stick it on to then go on to the next step. The next step is right around where the plunger hole is, the button to push. Take your flathead screwdriver, stick it down in there. I'll probably have to get a larger one. Oh, there it is. And this part comes out. This piece here now becomes trash and or plastic recycling. You can put it in your plastic recycle area. You're left with this piece, and here you can see the springs. And again, it's the same simple concept. You find where that piece was, where you first stuck it in, and you stick it in again, pull out the next piece. And this one takes some time to get used to, but it eventually does come out. And now here are the two springs. Larger spring, smaller spring. This piece now becomes obsolete and can be recycled. The following piece is where it gets a little tricky. Yes, it is plastic. Yes, you can put pieces of it in the recycling bin. This piece here, for instance, the bottom piece is plastic. You can put that in recycling. This piece is plastic. You can also put it in recycling. But before you do that, you must take off the needle. The needle goes into the arm, and therefore it is bloodborne. It's a biohazard. Should not go into the recycling bin for plastic waste. Should go to your local recycling or trash company and ask them what to do with the biohazards. Every company has rules and regulations on how you're supposed to take care of needles, anything that goes into the skin, anything that could have possible blood contaminants on it. And so you need to do that once you get it released from this piece of plastic. Sometimes you have to put elbow grease into it to make it happen, but it'll come out. You don't want to push too hard with the pliers and have it bounce all over the room. If you don't have a readily available container to put it in, use one of these as a first container, drop it in there and keep them here. Once you get all your pieces taken care of that you're planning on doing, and if you're diabetic and you have this, and then you have bags and bags and bags of this stuff laying around if you haven't just thrown them away into the trash can. At this rate, you are recycling plastic pieces to the plastic rate recycler, and you are responsibly putting the biohazard in a container at which your waste management company has told you to do so. And so I have several here to go through, and I'll be going through them a little later on tonight. measure the container. I want to measure it in ounces. And it measures to 4.4 ounces. I'm not sure if you can see the numbers on there with the way the camera is lit, but it's 4.4 ounces. I'm going to zero it out and then put these devices back in it. Totals to be 31.8 ounces, almost 32 ounces, which is 2 pounds. Now, let's get to what these devices are. I'm going to leave the scale tiered to the weight of the container. So when I put the container back on empty, it'll go back to 0. Hopefully it'll store that way. If it doesn't store that way, then we'll remember that the container weighed 4.4 ounces, or we'll tear it again. But when I complete this project, every piece of metal that comes out of these devices will go into the container, and we'll see how much weight we actually gained by tearing these down. These devices, as mentioned in a previous video, are applicators for the Dexcom G7 diabetic device that you put on your arm or your belly, whichever one that is better for you. I put these on the back of my arm. This device has 3 items that I want to get out of it that will go to the recycler. It has a very small magnet. It has and then it has 2 springs, a rather large spring and a smaller spring. I would say maybe when it's sprung and it's out, it's probably about a 3-inch spring, and the smaller one's probably about a 1 or 1.5-inch spring. And it's got the magnet. Also, what's inside at the very depth of this device is a small needle that gets inserted into the arm when the device gets put on the arm. That device is a biohazard, and it must be put in a container like this one. This is a Sharps container. It's for all biohazards, and when it gets full, you ship it off to the company once you got it from, or the company that it says for the biohazard to send to, and then they'll dispose of the materials inside, and they'll dispose of the container. You see these at hospitals and other doctors' offices. Right now, it's full of diabetic supplies that I use, but the needles that come out of these devices will fit inside here. So I'll be putting the needles in the container for storage and for ship off. The rest of this will be plastic that can be returned to your plastic recycler. The reason I'm not returning these to Dexcom is because on the Dexcom website it says that this is not returnable. It's also not recyclable. They just want you to throw this away. I don't want to throw it away because I don't want all these elements to end up in the landfill. So I'm taking out the elements that, 1, I can make money on, and 2, won't end up in the landfill. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to go straight through and take it out. I will take out the first one, and then I will go through all the rest of these. What I'll probably end up doing is speed up the video so you don't have to be bored watching me take apart 15 of these things, and then have some discussion at the end when I weigh up the amounts. And actually, in thinking about that, I should take all these out, because once I get the springs out, I want to be able to put them someplace. You'll see what I do. And before I go any further, I'm taking off my real glasses and putting on my safety glasses. Nothing else is pressing in my life at the moment, so I can go ahead and start working. It's a little difficult to see, but there is the magnet. You can see how it sticks to the screwdriver. So there is a magnet right there. Nowhere else is there. Next to the magnet, there are three pieces of this white plastic that are notched over like a 7. And they, like if the magnet was right here, these pieces are notched over. Magnet was right here, these pieces are notched over like a 7 to hold the magnet down. So the first dangerous part is bending those pieces back to get the magnet out. And the magnet just jumped out, and here it is on my screwdriver. And seeing how the magnet found itself into that container, that's a good place to stick it. Now we need to get the rest of this apart. Using the flathead screwdriver, where the plunger button is, the push button is that activates the device. Stick it down right in there. Pry back. And everything comes flying out unexpectedly. However, here is the 1.5 inch spring, and here is the 3 inch, which I guess now turns out to be a 4 inch spring. We need to get this plastic piece still out of this. Well, I guess we don't. What we really need is this bottom piece. This piece can stay together. These two pieces can stay together. That's plastic, and it goes. Right here, I'm trying to get to where the camera can see it. Right there's the needle. There's up against the whiteness. I see that piece there. I'm not sure. I'll try to zoom in, but there's a needle right there. That needle needs to come out. Yeah, the magnet's still in there. And the other piece of plastic was just the top on here. There's no metal in that plastic. So I need to get that. Needle out. We're going to try with needle nose pliers first. And if they don't work, then I'll try another tool. Okay, I got it off. It comes with a bit of plastic, but that is the entire needle. I bent the needle because using the pliers and trying to pry it off, ended up bending the needle, but there it is. All right, so then it goes in the container. Plastic goes with plastic, and it will go into my plastic recycler. Here on out, I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to take these apart. So what am I going to do with the parts once I get them out if I don't sell them? Well, the little magnets, surprisingly enough, when you have enough of them, and if you have metal doors or metal filing cabinets, they work very well to hold up a poster or paper onto the metal wall or the metal filing cabinet, or in my case, the metal door. My front door is metal, and I have a childhood poster on that door. When I was a kid, growing up, my parents would take me and my siblings to see my aunt and uncle, and my uncle had a poster on the back of the basement bathroom door, and on that poster was a chimpanzee on the toilet playing with toilet paper. When my aunt died, my uncle was cleaning up his house. I asked him if I could have that old 1976 poster. And he gave it to me. And I was looking around my house where I wanted to put it so my wife wouldn't get upset about it being in the bathroom. I decided to put it on the back of a door that she doesn't see anymore. So I put it on the back of my front door. And I used about 15 magnets to hang it up. So magnets do come in handy. A less different topic or a place to use the magnets would be on your refrigerator. If you have pictures of relatives or recipes or to-do notes or grocery lists on your refrigerator, then these little magnets can help. And in that sense, instead of sending them to the recycle bin or to the recycler, I'm what they call upscaling or upcycling. I'm upcycling the magnets, and I'm using them in a different application. Started with 15. Who can count how many I've done already? Of course, if I sped this up, I might not even be talking about how many I've done already. But you can see how once you have the proper tools, it's fairly easy to take apart. Started with 15, I have 6 left. Who can do the math? I joke because on another video I've done, a friend of mine caught on there and said, "Hey, is that math right?" So I need to double check my math on some of my other videos. Another important step in recycling when you're tearing things down is if you feel yourself getting tired, know when to stop. I am getting to that point, but I've got 6 left, so I'm going to try to push through. But even in saying that, that doesn't make too much sense, because I can always stop the video, start it back up again, and you're none the wiser as to whether I stopped it or not. Except maybe, you know, you see my shirt or my pants, I'm wearing something different the next day. A different pair of gloves on. Well, that magnet came off and flew and went to the floor somewhere. Instead of taking the time to try to find it, I'm going to take another magnet that I had earlier and stick it in the bucket. Also a sign of getting tired, as I'm getting slightly careless during that last extraction. Even though I have gloves on, I put my thumb on top of where the needle was and I felt it go right in. Don't think the needle went into my skin, but I did feel the needle on my skin. Not too worried about it because all these devices are used by me. So there's that. If you're getting tired, you're making mistakes, know when to stop. And I guess that really can be true in anything you do in life. Just know when to stop. If you have the ability or the time to do what you're working on the next day, then by all means, work on it the next day. Your safety is not a factor when you're too tired. You know, it's whatever you're working on is not worth it. Life lesson. Whatever you're working on is not worth it. If you're getting tired and you're making mistakes. Now, granted, it depends on the thing you're working on. I mean, if you're in the military and you're at your post, but you're getting tired, you want to go back to your bunk and go to bed, you can't because you're at your post. You know, it depends on what you're working on. If you're a surgeon and you're in the middle of surgery and you're getting tired, you may have a relief surgeon with you. I don't really know about that. I'm not a surgeon. Well, hopefully, by the time this is all done, I'm going to be able to look at those magnets down there and see that I had 15 because I've had 15 of these applicators that I've taken apart. And there went the spring. I don't have another spring up here, so I have to go fishing for that spring. .8 was the ounces of all this stuff before the destruction. I am only going to weigh up the magnet and the springs, and I'm not going to mess with trying to put all these devices. Well, I guess I could, to be fair. That way, all said and done, we find out exactly how much that needle and itty bitty piece of plastic it's sitting in weighs. And there's the last one out. Okay, now we got a mess to clean up. Job is done. Nothing else am I going to use with the screwdriver, the snips, the near nose pliers. Gloves are coming off so that I can actually handle items better, like the magnets. Because can't handle these magnets very well with these thick gloves on. Bandage is still in one piece. That's good. All right, now I want to move the scale back into position. Now, all of the magnets, see them rolling around? They're all together in one little piece. I hope there's 15 in here. I'm sure there are. We took them all apart. I'm not going to bother counting, but I'm pretty sure that's 15. All right, let's turn the scale back on. And it's no longer properly set at negative 4.4. So this container weighs 4.4 plus the springs. And I can't be sitting on anything. Let's try that again because that feels like I'm seeing things here. All right, the box weighs 4.4. The springs with the box weighs 12.2. The springs with the box with the magnet weighs 12.4. For my sanity, I am going to take out everything. I don't like doing the math. All right, that's sitting at 4.4. Pretty sure the camera can't see it at the angle because of the way the box is. If I move it around, it says 4.3 because it's not even on the scale anymore. So I'm bringing it back to 4.4. I'm tearing it out now so it's straight zero again, and I'm putting everything in. And we're at 7.9 ounces for everything that's going to go to the recycler in the steel bin. However, something else I've noticed, this is a nice spring, and I have several of them. I'm going to list them on eBay and see if anyone buys the springs for me for whatever purpose they'll need the springs for. If I can't sell them on eBay, then I'm going to take them to a local school and donate them to the science facility, because the science facility will be able to use a spring, show children how springs work, get the mind working. All right, now we're going to put in, we're still teared at zero with the container. Now we're going to put all the rest of this in. We started off with 31.8 ounces, almost 32 ounces, almost 2 pounds of junk, and we'll see what we end up with. All right, we're ending up with 23.4 ounces. Verify that. 23.4 ounces of plastic. We started with 31.8 ounces. We had 12.2 of the steel. Well, that was with the bucks. So we had 7.9, I think, with the steel. So all in all, it was a good night. We had fun taking things apart. We learned something new. We learned what we're not supposed to do with our hands. We're supposed to wear gloves. So I hope you have a good night. If you like what you saw, want to continue to see things from this page, please click the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, and definitely add a comment. Thank you.